Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're going to have a big show today. It's going to be focused on the WAL 405 and reviewing all the matches that happened there. But firstly, welcome, John Brzezinski. How are you?
Good. Hey, well, pretty good, Brian. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. How's your week been?
It's been busy. Delta's been keeping me busy. Yeah, starting to cool off a little bit, but
nice. 405. It was a big one, big card, lots of big names on there, lots to talk about today. Did you enjoy the event?
I did. I watched it live. I haven't had a chance to review it again, but yeah, stayed up. It was a little bit later than usual, right, because it was on the West Coast. But yeah, no, I stayed up for sure.
Nice. Well, we are going to have heaps of stuff to talk about where they're in the WAL 405 card that happened, but I guess the other thing, we got all the other regular segments to go through, so let's kick it off straight away with our segment, first segment of the day, which is, of course, Play of the Day, which is brought to you by none other than Lethal Arms Apparel, so make sure you go check them out, lethalarmsapparel.com. But Play of the Day, John, what have you got for us for your Play of the Day?
Well, you were working hard this weekend pulling the Australian event, and you had posted a match with you and Danny Tesh, which I know you've been looking forward to the last couple of weeks. And I got a little criticism for you, though. I mean, I only got a chance to really see the second match. Evidently, he beat you fairly quickly with a hook move the first match, but second match looked like you got the hit on him. You blasted him right. Opened him up, had a great top roll, and didn't maintain the position. You let him back up, and he committed with a shoulder roll. And in my opinion, when somebody does that, completely commits to a shoulder roll, you need to move your elbow to the front of the cup, make your arm go straight up and down, so he is pushing directly down on your elbow. If you keep your elbow in the back of the cup and allow him to have any kind of angle on you, you're going to be in trouble with those shoulder rollers. So. Yeah, that's my play of the day. A little criticism for yourself, and yeah. Shoulder rollers come in, that elbow goes forward, you start posting, and then let them just run into your hand. It puts a lot more pressure on their hand, and I think you're going to find a little bit more success than what you did. But.
Yeah, well. Yeah, you're definitely the person that I'm going to take advice from in that. It's interesting, Danny Tesh and I have had a lot of matches over the years, in the last couple of years, and Danny now leads me 8 victories to 1. The one victory I did have over him was with the top roll. I just managed to get to the pad in that first surge, and but that shape that you saw in this match is so typical. And my struggle, I'd love to just get some personal advice here from you. My struggle on getting to the front of the pad is Danny's side pressure and constant pressure just feels like I can't breathe. Like if I try to move at all, I'm just going to lose connection and my arms are just going to go sideways real quick. But you just reckon, so would you get to the front of the pad as part of the hit, or would you be...
No, well, once he commits to the shoulder roll, I think it's going to be more effective instead of trying to go through his arm like you were looking like you were trying to do, to basically fall back, do the cobra move, get your hand and wrist, cupped like this, and then move your elbow to the front of the pad, and then jam, and actually almost just kind of rock back and let that shoulder roll run to the bottom part of your hand. It's going to put a lot more pressure on his hand. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's got a lot more side pressure than he does down pressure in his shoulder roll. And then I could see your argument. But typically, when somebody commits to a hard shoulder roll like that and are pushing directly down, you want to allow them to just push directly straight down on your arm by bringing that elbow forward. You don't want to create that angle. It's tough to
Well, it gives me lots of hope that there's a lot of technique that I can improve there in terms of execution. So,
well, it should have never got there. I mean, you hit him so well off the start that you should, especially if you know his past, that he's able to get that shoulder roll in. Don't let him get it in there. Fight for that position that you obtained off the go, and make sure he keeps stretched out like that.
Yeah. For sure. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. That's a very helpful one for me for Play of the Day. My Play of the Day, John, is it comes from the British Nationals. About a week ago, the British National Championship took place, and in the open weight division, on the right arm, there was an absolute screamer of a match in the semi-final between the 165-pound Craig Sanders and the 220-pound Paul Maiden. These guys absolutely went to war. The speed of Craig Sanders off the go. he got onto the bicep of Paul Maiden, and Craig Sanders set a beautiful angle with his supinated wrist, shoulder over the top, but didn't have the shoulder to get the finish. And Paul Maiden sat there and held with his bicep and looked for ways out, couldn't get out, put on big hit reversals, couldn't get away, and these guys neither one could pin. It inevitably ended up being finished. Craig Sanders elbow fouled, then in the restart, Paul Maiden flash pinned him. But it was absolutely worth it. And Craig Sanders gets my play of the day at 165 pound, almost taking down Paul Maiden in a battle. So that's my play of the day. Really, really enjoyable match to watch.
Big accomplishment for sure for Craig. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so that wraps up play of the day. Again, thank you to Lethal Arms Apparel for that. So what we're going to go on now with is the big anticipated thing about this whole episode today is going through the WAL 405 card. It was a good event. There were lots of big matches building towards the final for the season as well. So the first match, Justin Bishop took on Glenn Bengston from Sweden. Justin Bishop obviously has been featured a lot on the WAL cards this season. He's had some good wins. He lost to Storm Chileno. But how did you see this match with Glenn?
Well, he was able to maintain his hand. He dominated the hand, and it seemed kind of easy to me actually. Most of the matches in the WL 405 seem to be a little bit quicker than they have been in the past. So Justin's match definitely was dominant. I can remember did the Swede win a match even? I don't think so.
He didn't. No, Glenn didn't get a match. And it was interesting because Glenn is slightly taller than Justin, but we saw classic Justin Bishop in that he got to dictate the terms of the match. He kept it about the hand and wrist at the top, and Justin was too much in the hand and wrist. And Glenn looked like he wanted to fight up top. He looked like he was willing to back himself, but then as soon as the go was about to happen, he lost all confidence, crumbled, and went underneath and tried to flop. And Justin just looked at him, smiled, and kind of just said, "Yeah, it's not going to happen." And so that was a good win by Justin. It was a big statement because I think after he's lost to Storm, that he was a little down on himself, and I think he wanted to reassert where he's at. So I think that he did in that weight division anyway. That's for sure.
And he's scheduled for the 406, isn't he? Who's he scheduled to
I don't think Justin's actually on 406.
Oh, he's not. Oh, okay.
I don't think he is. He obviously had a lot of matches. He's been busy, but I don't think he is on the 406 card. But no doubt we'll see Justin again soon. He'll pop up for sure. The next match that we'll talk about was Mike Celiaris up against Alan Guerra from Mexico. This one went 3-0 to Mike Celiaris, and we saw a lot of classic Mike Celiaris and a bit of a battle towards the end, but it was a pretty good performance. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's Mike is all about the hand, and he definitely dominated the hand. His opponent definitely put up a lot of fight. He obviously had very strong arm to be able to pull from the positions that he had to pull from. But it's real difficult when you're pulling at with flop wrists, and it was definitely Mike's to win.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like you said, Alan certainly showed plenty of fight with his arm. He lost his hand. I remember that first round he lost his hand and he was definitely opened up. But Mike, interestingly, couldn't just finish with the outside move and had to. He looked at coming up and stepping back into a hook and almost regretted that decision. You could see that was where Alan had plenty more power to come. But but Mike, as soon as he dipped into that hook, he went straight back to the outside move again and ended up, I think, bleeding him out. But Mike Celiaris, his style for me is. It's, as you've said, it's so hand-based. He's one of the, he's been pulling for what, 25, 30 years almost or something. He's been around a long time. He's flamboyant on the table.
Yeah, it's not even so much maybe even hand strength. He's just got fairly good sized arm, not real long arm, so he's got good leverage, but he's got a massive wide palm, massive hand, so he can manipulate the grips even just with his size. So it's
Yeah, and it was great to see his family at the end. His daughter at the end was adorable in the way that he was. Dad was certainly the hero to her, so that was awesome seeing the family get involved and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, awesome stuff there from Mike Celiaris. Alrighty, guys, what we're going to go on now is the next segment, which is Table Talk with John Brzenk. Table Talk with John Brzenk is brought to you by none other than Combat Arms Sports. These guys are makers of probably the best tables out of the USA, so check them out, combatarmsports.com. Alrighty, John, what are we talking about on Table Talk today?
Well, I get people asking me all the time, what's the best exercise for arm wrestling? So I thought I'd throw out a little advice about my thoughts on what the best exercise is.
Awesome, let's do it.
Okay, today I wanted to go over some of the best exercises for the sport of arm wrestling. I get this asked to me quite often, what's the best exercise to do this, that, and the other? And my answer has pretty much been the same for the last 20 years. In my opinion, the best exercise you can do for yourself to become a great arm wrestler is to get with a group of other arm wrestlers that train once a week, at least once a week, and work all your different angles on the arm wrestling table. Why do I believe this? Well, because weights are very one-dimensional. They use, obviously, gravity, and arm wrestling is a very unnatural movement. It's a sideways direction that very little gravity is involved. It's trying to pull your opponent not only across the table sideways, but also pulling on their bicep down in the offensive position. And a lot of manipulation with the hand and wrist, obviously, that you can't possibly achieve with weights. So, my opinion, arm wrestle, heal yourself up so you can pull as hard as you can on the table once a week. Yes, weights are good for you to a certain extent, in my opinion. Use them to help heal, help get the blood flow going, but don't use weights if they're gonna cause your arm wrestling workouts to suffer. Arm wrestling should be the focus, and pulling hard in different directions. So yes, more arm wrestlers on your squad or on your team or on your workout group, the better arm wrestler you're gonna be, because you're gonna obviously face all kinds of different types of body types and different arms. So you need to be very aggressive, warm up well before the practice starts, and be very aggressive. It's like doing a heavy max lift in the weight, if you wanted to compare it to that. So you should be very aggressive for your first couple of matches, high stress, and then you can kind of taper down from there after you do that. And work all the different angles. I mean, it's one thing to be great at something and you like to beat your opponent or your practice partner, but work all the different angles. You know, practice typically lasts an hour and a half, 2 hours, so you have the ability to work all the different angles. So I hope that helps, and we'll see you next week.
Alrighty, guys, back from Table Talk with John Brzenk. I couldn't agree more. Table time for me has been the benchmark for my training, and it's where I feel I get best value out of everything that I'm doing as well. Sometimes you obviously can't get it, so you try to replicate in the gym, but table time, I think, yeah, I agree entirely, John, very much.
Yeah, it's a shame we can't really do some real-time testing. You know, some people just completely, well, obviously no one's going to just completely be a weightlifter, because that's for sure a no-brainer that you wouldn't become an arm wrestler no matter how much weight you're lifting, because weightlifters can't arm wrestle. So, my view is that really the key to becoming a successful arm wrestler is having a good group of guys and pulling hard with all different types of arms.
Yeah, I find it so interesting about this sport that you find it difficult to track your progress in a strength sense, like. Because it's not entirely a strength sport, it's very much a combat sport as well. It's so dependent upon how your opponent is moving and whatnot. So it's difficult to know exactly how much strength gain you've made in a year or in 5 years, and
right.
It's confusing sometimes to know You see newcomers start to doubt whether they're actually making any progress at all, but you got to remember that everyone's progressing together. And
right. Yeah. And it's not immediate with arm wrestling. Arm wrestling, you could be pulling hard for weeks and months, and that benefit's not going to show itself for another year. So it's not like weightlifting. It's not muscle bellies. It's more about the connective tissue and the tendons and just that whole structure of skeletal structure. And it's a process, and you have to trust it. I mean,
All right, well, let's get back to the 405 special that we've got here. And the next two matches that we'll talk about, we've got... it was a really good performance from the Brazilian Tatiana Faria up against Sweden's Erika Bengston. Tatiana wasn't... Yeah, she did, and she wasn't the favourite either. I think that the poll that WAL put out had it about 78% favourite for Erika Bengston. So,
right.
Yeah.
Tatiana definitely had the... Well, just looking at it, the match, I mean, it just seemed like she had the more powerful hand. So, and that's key. I mean, I know her opponent was complaining about hand, wrist, and that, but it's tough to pull when you don't have a hand and wrist. I've been there before.
Yeah, I don't know the nature of the injury, but yeah, when you're limited. Obviously, like you could see that when she was when Erika was talking with Glenn, her husband, in the corner between rounds, they were talking about getting her hand higher. But every time when she stepped up to the table, she really had a dumped wrist in the setup, and it was really dumped. Like she didn't fight in a posting style at all, and I think that was her undoing. I think had she have fought for that a little bit more and just got Faria to be just a couple of millimeters lower even off the start, there might have been something. But it was a good performance by Tatiana, that's for sure. She for someone who wasn't the favorite, she dominated, as you said. Yeah, be interesting to see where she goes from here. But yeah, I thought it was a good performance, and I picked that one too. I think we ended up getting 5, or I know I got 5 out of the 6 right. So
okay,
I was happy with Tatiana.
Yeah, like I said, I don't follow, don't have any experience arm wrestling in the women's, and don't follow them that much to really know. I mean, so I maybe took your lead hopefully and went with what you thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was good. It was good. It is hard to pick, especially betting against Sweden is always a difficult one when you're in the women's division. So,
right.
But Tatiana did well. But next match that we'll have a look at, we had this was a pretty anticipated match. Mike Aiello from New York up against Canada's Ian Carnegie. Mike taking it 3-1. How'd you see this one?
Well, that's exactly the way I kind of predicted it. I felt whoever was confident enough to get the position off the go. I mean, you knew it was going to go to a hook, but importantly enough to get on your own tricep. And Mike was, I can't remember, did Mike pulled it off the first match fairly easy, and then I don't know if he just kind of slacked off a little bit on the second match, but Ian was able to get it in on the second match, and it went down almost nearly. Well, I guess it was a little tougher than that. It wasn't super easy, was it? But
it was close. But
yeah, once Mike committed to make sure that he got that off the start and got on, Ian's bicep, then it was pretty much an easy match for him. So I kind of figured that. I didn't think either one of them had really much of a defense or manipulating the hand or any kind of top roll or changing it up in any way, shape, or form. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. These guys just met head on. They both backed their own game, and neither of them really changed anything. Like I said, Mike took the first round comfortably. I think he was probably a little confident for the second round. Ian got a little deeper in his grip, and Mike was a little more relaxed in getting his shoulder angle set, and then subsequently lost the round. And then, as you said, Mike took it back and got control, made sure that he set his shoulder a little bit deeper, and it was the same card played 3 times, and I think that was what we expected, as you mentioned.
Right.
So
it seemed like Ian had a better dragging hook than Mike did, but Mike obviously has that big old tricep. Once he got on top of of his arm, he was victorious. Yeah,
that's it. Alrighty, guys, we're going to go on with the next segment, which is the breakdown. Now, the breakdown is brought to you by Armwrestling TV, one of the best YouTube channels out there. So go check out Armwrestling TV. They've got heaps of good content coming out all the time. And in today's episode of the breakdown, we're going to actually break down and analyze the techniques that were used in the Jamie Sheldon v Jeff Hale match from WAL 404, which was a fantastic match. So let's go do that. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the breakdown. In this episode, we have Jamie Sheldon against Jeff Hale, and it is at the WAL 404 card in 2018. You can see here the athletes setting for the go, and there's a start, interesting early start from Jamie Sheldon, but the returning serve with a hit from Jeff Hale gets a slip. You can see elbow fouls from both of them off the start. Jeff Hale being called, but after stopping the hit, Jeff Hale returns with his own hit and pulls through. So into the straps they will go. Now you can see here the big hit and drive from Jamie Sheldon. His top roll, his pronation has been crushed by Jeff Hale. The reason Jeff Hale is able to get this stop is because his hand strength is enough to stop the pronation of Jamie Sheldon. Jamie Sheldon trying to get the pec and shoulders involved, but the bicep of Jeff Hale is too much for the pec and shoulder of Jamie Sheldon. So because that pronation has collapsed and the pec and shoulder isn't sufficient to get through the bicep, Jeff Hale is able to sit and wait. Jeff Hale is going to sit here and wait until Jamie Sheldon's shoulder starts to gas. Once Jamie Sheldon's shoulder starts to gas, Jeff Hale will look to go on the attack. Waiting for the right moment here. His hand is intact. He is waiting very patiently. You can see him reset the elbow, and then after he's reset the elbow, the big attack from Jeff Hale, and there is the victory. Let's have a look at that in replay. You can see the slow motion replay here. Jamie Sheldon with a big start, but Jeff Hale, as we said before, stops the match with his hand strength. The cupping strength of Jeff Hale is able to break down the pronation of Jamie Sheldon. Looking towards the end of the match, you'll see in this replay right here, Jeff Hale will change the contact point of his elbow, allowing his rotation to be used for the full hit. When Jamie Sheldon stands up a little bit more, Jeff Hale finishes the match off decisively. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the breakdown. Alrighty, back from the breakdown. Hope you enjoyed that one. Continuing on with our 405 review special, we are up to what were the final two matches of the card and the ones that everyone was most looking forward to. Michael Todd v Marcio Barbozza, 3-0 to Michael Todd. How did you see this one, John?
I was sadly disappointed in the way this one turned out. It was way easy for Mike. Marcio, I thought, would put a lot more, give him a lot more trouble. Obviously, it's important to have a big, strong hand with Mike and be able to kind of have that crushing effect, that curling effect to really get Mike's hand flat open to the sky. And Marcio just didn't have that. You know, Marcio's got that great posting top roll. He hits hard back and he hits hard to the side, but it just wasn't nearly enough for Mike's move. So it was it was definitely a disappointment for me.
Yeah, Michael looked kind of subdued to me. I don't know what where his head was at going into that match. He seemed nervous and quiet, and kind of it was a different version of Michael than we typically see. He wasn't angry and fired up, and I don't know if that played into anything on the table. But Mike did what Mike does, and as you said, and
showed a lot of confidence. I mean, even right from the get-go. I mean, normally Mike's got to struggle and fight and maybe lose a match, and he seemed like he was in total control right from the get-go. So
it of course came with Michael. Michael never has a match without some sort of controversy, and watching the community's feedback since I mean, he's constantly always going to be attacked for having his shoulder below the table before getting into any sort of finished position. So where does that?
He didn't really do that with Marcio, did he?
I mean, there were screenshots floating around of him shoulder, like, whether you want to call it shoulder below the table, equal with the table, or some would say it's above. I don't know. It's always close, if not, I
thought he fought fairly equal to Marcio's posting, style. So I don't know. Yeah, no, I've seen Mike get into some ugly positions that I think are, something should be said or stopped, but like I said in the last interview, I've become more of a fan of it just because of the drama that's associated with some of his matches.
And interestingly, some of the positions that Marcio pulled out, like when Marcio was getting desperate and clearly was on the defense, even Marcio was jamming up on that defensive side of the pad, making his forearm very vertical and in a very odd position with these humerus. Like it looked messy, and you think, oh, but
Right. Well, Mike kept him stretched out. I mean, typically some of the guys that have had success with Mike can really get him stretched out on his bicep with their hand strength. And Marcio just was never able to do that. His hand wasn't big or strong enough to really get Mike opened up across the table. So his shoulder press, which I'm sure Marcio's got a tremendous, shoulder press, was just really tough to, do anything with Mike with his arm being pulled out, so much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the closest Marcio came was actually a moment outside of the straps. I can't remember if it was first round, second round, but outside of the straps, he hit a press pretty aggressively, and I don't know, like WAL, they don't run off instant replays to check or anything like that, but I think that it came incredibly close to a pin in one sense, but as soon as that strap's on with Mike, it was one-way traffic, but yeah. So the big match that we were all waiting for, that was talked about for months on end. It played out pretty interestingly. I predicted, as you know, I predicted Matt Mast to win 3-0. I got Devin ruined my perfect prediction on the card. I got all the other matches right, but what did you take from this match? There's a lot in it.
Well, it was just a huge letdown, huge disappointment. Matt came in so fired up, but not really composed very well. I mean, I didn't understand some of the stuff that went on. I mean, the first match he hit so hard that he basically just purposely slipped. I mean, why? I mean, Devin's going to be a lot more stable in the strap. He's going to be a lot tougher in the straps. And it just kind of saddened me to see Matt just hit like that and just crazy, energy, I guess, just went to the side and didn't really, think about having control of Devin's hand. I mean, he didn't need to move that fast, and he kind of wasted his, kind of gave away his, which was a fantastic hit. I mean, the first slip match was, all Matt for sure if he would have just been a little more composed and controlled. And then of course it woke Devin right up, for the second time in this, when they went in the straps. But
because like your victory over Devin in 2015 was outside the straps twice, wasn't it? Where you pinned Devin, and
correct
that, and Matt definitely could have used that same shape with the hand control that he had out of straps. That, I hadn't even thought about that. I hadn't even thought about how he missed the opportunity to control the match out of straps.
Never once tried. Yeah. I mean, he, and after the first match, when they went into the straps and Devin just kind of got that position on him. I mean, it was smart of Matt to quit, and obviously the second round he ended up winning. But
yeah. An interesting part of this match for me was the energy of it all. So much psychological warfare had gone into the build-up, particularly from Devin. There'd been a lot, and so it looked like I think that Devin did that approach because Devin respected the physicality of Matt, and I think Devin believed that he needed to put some fear and some doubt into Matt's mind. So I think what looked like happened to me was that kind of worked. I think it almost got to the point where Matt was, I think he was bitter about it. He was angry and didn't appreciate the energy of the moment coming to a head, and the frustration seemed to get to him, I think. And like you said, he wasn't necessarily focused as much as he probably wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a little too revved up, not composed as much as he should have been for sure. But he still had the power to pin Devin, even stretched out like he was the second match. And then again the third match, I'd have to review it. I only watched it the one time, but it seems to me that they both had a foul, and Matt clearly pushes Devin to the pad, beats him or will beat him, and Devin in doing the King's move is 6 inches off the back of the pad, down below the table, and they stopped the match. So it was a little confusing to me. Like, okay, well that should be a win, right? You can't purposely foul or drop your arm off the back of the pad when you're getting beat. But and then it went from there. So I don't know.
Absolutely. And WAL's interesting rules. The WAL have. They normally work off the running foul, but because Devon's elbow foul was so extreme, they decided to start it again. So Devin definitely got away with that one there, and that realistically should have been 2-1
as he was being pinned. Right? Yeah. No, I truly believe that was 2-1, but still a big hill for Matt to climb, even 2-1 against Devin. I mean, but. Again, I lost opportunity for Matt. I thought he was, capable and so close, just not composed enough.
Yeah, and then the final round where it ended up going 3-1 officially, but what was really 2-2 in a physical sense was Devon actually going on the attack a bit more. And I even saw there was moments there where I thought Matt Mask was going to be able to outlast Devin. As Devin was attacking, he was opening up a bit, and I thought, here we go, there's something here. But Matt ended up coming into to a hook position and just obviously, and then conceding, feeling that it wasn't going to happen. So
right,
it was interesting. A lot of frustration you could see in Matt at the end of it, and you could see I think even Devin said to Matt at the end, we can be friends again now. And I think that was a sign of respect from Devin to say, look, kind of apologising for all the massive build-up.
I don't like Devin's Hollywood, and I don't particularly buy into him being the bad guy. I know that's kind of the fun thing to do with WAL now and create a little bit more controversy, but it doesn't suit him well. He should be, to me, in my opinion, he should be more of the the Superman type guy that just kind of deflects whatever comes his way. But so it almost kind of is, it's almost kind of funny to me to watch him try to be the bad guy. But
well, I've seen the first one that I've heard as well. I've seen other people say that he's becoming the Travis of the WAL.
But the problem is he doesn't do it well. it comes across kind of fake. Like, come on, we know Devin, you're not like that. I mean, so it kind of makes me smile. Like, all right, whatever. I guess he needs to take a little more acting lessons. It needs to come from the heart. Come from the heart, Devin. He's great away from the table. I mean, doing the commercials and the little jabs. Yeah. That stuff's hilarious. But when it came right down to the table, it was. And what's with the voices? I mean, I know, was Bart sick? I mean, I could hardly understand Matt, and Devin's got this growly voice. I couldn't understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't know what Devin when Devin was. I've had it clarified that Devin was saying crack, and I'm like, I had no idea what on earth he was saying on the day, but anyway, there was too many shenanigans. I agree, but. At the end of the day, it was a good match. One thing that I find amazing is that those guys are so close physically in terms of which way that match is going to go, yet Devin has not lost to Matt Mask in 18 years. To me, that's amazing that they can be so close in actual physicality, yet it's so one-sided in results.
Mm-hmm. Well, Matt,
does Matt ever have the chance to come back?
I think so. I mean, as soon as Matt, normally when I get a win on somebody, I kind of put it in the old memory bank, and I never lose again. But I think that, for Matt, I mean, it's got to happen once, and then he's got to just replay it in his mind and go, okay, this is what I have to do, and just kind of stick with it. And he obviously did it, in my mind twice. So. He knows he's there, and I'm sure he's very frustrated about the way he came into it. That type of approach has never worked for me personally, to be all revved up like that and just kind of crazy. I like the approach that RBJ has got, just very calm and calculated, and just like it's all inside. It's you got it going through your head, but you don't need to be setting that adrenaline off falsely. That stuff can all stay inside and just stay focused.
Yeah, for sure. Well, both of these guys obviously have more things to come for the year. Matt Mask has got Jerry Carteret, and Devon's got Michael Todd. So they've both got another big match, and it's only a few weeks away again. So they've got to kind of reset and restart and go again, and then Devon's got Saplenkov later in the year as well. So yeah, both these guys have had huge years, and I feel like after this event, they would be fried, and it'll be interesting to see how they reset from here.
Well, we haven't talked about the 406 stuff coming up, but both of their matches are going to be a lot tougher on them than their match was against each other. I think Matt's going to have big problems with Jerry Carteret. I don't think he's ever faced anybody that comes at you like that with a broken wrist. I mean, Matt's strength is his hand, and it's going to be a new. There's like what the hell they're like polar opposite on their angles too. So I don't know. I have to think Jerry's going to win that, but we'll talk about that one in depth later. But yeah, that will be a fascinating thing. I think no doubt Matt possesses probably the most ferocious hit on that angle out of anyone on the WAL scene, but Jerry doesn't seem to care about that, and he's just going to bang in there and meet it head on. Right. No, Matt's going to need to watch a couple of the Devon, videos of basically committing and staying tall on the table and getting that shoulder in and making sure that Jerry doesn't get that slight angle with the tricep, because if he does, it's going to be, you're done.
Yeah, and of course Devon's beaten Michael Todd before. They've had battles. I expect to see a similar sort of shape as to what we've seen in the past, but yeah, and I think Michael Todd wants that match. I think he's very hungry for it, and I think it's Michael lives to be the top dog. That's his dream, obviously. So I think he wants Devon pretty bad.
But Devon, 259. Oh
yeah.
All right. How much bigger can he get? We'll see.
Devon's.
Do you think Devon's bigger than he's ever been against Michael Todd? So. I know,
And I'd love to ask you the question. Do you think this is the strongest Devon we've ever seen on the Walk the Planet, or has there been a bigger bout of Devon?
No, absolutely, the strongest he's ever been. Well, I don't know. The surgery might have messed him up a little bit. I'm not even sure what that was all about, what he had done, how. But no, he looks strong. He's talking strong. So.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I got one other thing I want to bring up, though, I did notice. 33, was he 32 in 3? He's lost to me. He's lost to me 3 times. I know he's lost to Dave Chafee. WL needs to do some recalculations here, because I know his record's not that good. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, that's good. What was your WAL record? You didn't lose too many, did you?
I don't know. I don't think I did. Did I lose any? I lost left-handed. The last 2015, I horribly got beat up left-handed. But right-handed, I've lost to Devon once. That was, I think, my only loss. But anyway.
Nice. Oh, good. Yeah, well, that's an interesting note to finish on there. Devon Larratt, he will no doubt go on and do well in the WL finals. We'll wait to see that. But, John, look, I really appreciate, as always, hearing your insights on that. I think the WAL 405 card was well and truly worthy of an entire episode. So, thanks for doing it.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Take care.
All right.